Sometimes you have an LLC, you're looking for a business line of credit, and you want to have an EIN only sort of a credit arrangement. And the whole thing is that you don't have income, you want a big amount, so you want a lot of things. So in today's conversation, what I want to do, I want to talk about those things. I want to explain to you how to actually navigate the whole process so you qualify for the amount that you need, okay? So here is the overview I want you to pay attention to. So basically, when you look at, if you have an LLC and you're looking for working capital financing, you're looking for inventory financing, you want to have access to a temporary amount of cash, a business line of credit, and you want EIN only. It's important to understand that there are some mistakes you need to avoid. First of all, you need to pay attention to the interest rate, the draw fee, the payment processing fee, the late fee, the termination fee, and the prepayment penalty. Why? Because a lot of folks, a lot of entrepreneurs, they are really kind of interested in the final amount that they get if they are looking for an LLC, business line of credit, EIN only. But they don't care about those what we call ancillary elements. You know, those fees that I just spoke to you about, those are very important because they are going to determine whether or not you are satisfied overall with the funding process. Believe me, right now you're just sitting there, you just need the cash. That's true. But once you have signed all the paperwork and you have signed everything, if you have big fees that actually come with the business line of credit for your LLC, you are not going to be happy. I guarantee it. So it's really important, okay, pay attention to those fees that I'm talking about. And also one thing you need to understand here is that understand how a business line of credit for your LLC really works. Okay, so you tap into an amount of cash that is made available to you, but you have to repay it. Now, in terms of repayment, you have two strategies, or you have two options. The lender can actually say, listen, you have a draw period, and then you have a repayment period. So those are two separate things. And there are some lenders who will say, listen, no, we want to have a pay-as-you-go strategy. So basically, you tap into the business line of credit, and then you pay us a certain amount. So you don't just tap into it and just pay the interest only. No, we want you to pay us, let's say, 20% of the amount. So this is really, it depends on the lender, especially now with the economy going a little, crazy, whatever. So lenders want to have a reassurance that they will be paid, and they're not really satisfied with assurances that, yeah, I'll draw the money within 5 years and I'll repay it within 10 years. No, they want to be paid now. So those are things I want you to think about. So here are the steps I want you to take if you are looking for an LLC, business line of credit, EIN only, no income proof, and big amount. By the way, boss, welcome back to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you here. We love having this type of conversations every now and then. So in terms of step, I want you to really write down this. The first thing you need to think about if you're looking for an LLC, business line of credit, EIN only, no income proof, big amount, you have to ask yourself, do I want to go for a secured business line of credit or unsecured business line of credit? I know you probably could be thinking, my decisions are very simple because I don't want to pledge anything. I don't want to risk anything. But you'll be really surprised that sometimes if your LLC has business assets that you may pledge as collateral, it's a lot better to go for a secured LLC, business line of credit, EIN only, no income proof. In other words, you are pledging collateral that belongs to the company, not yourself. Because the whole thing is when we talk about EIN only, we are trying to divorce our personal assets from the business's assets. In other words, we are having skin in the game for sure, but the skin that we're talking about, that skin is the business's skin, so to speak, metaphorically. Okay, so think about, you want to decide between a secured and unsecured line of credit for your LLC. If you're telling me that my LLC has no business assets, or I don't want to pledge any LLC business assets, then okay, you can go for an unsecured business line of credit. But if you have some assets that are stable, let's say you have a piece of machinery, and your business is kind of like on a solid financial path, then it just makes sense to go for a secured business line of credit for your LLC. That way you have advantageous interest rates. You get a pretty good draw fees, late fees, like the terms and conditions for all intents and purposes are a lot better than if you were to go with an unsecured business line of credit. And that makes sense because the lender is risking less, right? They're not really risking everything here. They see that you have skin in the game also, so they'll actually lower all the fees and all the APRs that they will charge you anyway. So it's very important. The very first step I want you to really think about is to decide between a secured business line of credit and unsecured business line of credit. The second thing I want you to do here is to really think about, you need to research the lender's requirement for getting an LLC business line of credit, EIN only, no income, proof, big amount. And this is actually the topic of today's conversation. I just want to quickly remind you. So in today's convo, we are speaking about LLC business line of credit, EIN only, no income proof, big amount. What are the hacks you need to really keep in mind if you want to get a big amount real quick? Okay, so the first thing is you want to decide between a secured and unsecured business line of credit for your LLC. Number two, you want to research those LLC lenders. Okay, what are their requirements? Now, when we talk about LLC lenders, the thing is that sometimes you'll be surprised that a big national bank may not be an LLC lender in your state. You have to understand that LLC is a state affairs, right? You get organized, you get formed. The LLC gets formed at the state level. You file the paperwork with the state authorities. Nothing is really like the federal government is not invested in LLC formation. They're really interested in you paying your taxes. Okay, that's when the IRS comes in, and when it comes to getting your business licenses and permits. So the point I'm trying to make here is that you want to find a lender that actually will lend in your state. Don't assume that because Chase, Wells Fargo, Citi, Bank of America, or other bigger players are available nationally or regionally for that matter, that means they will actually lend in your state. No, you want to check, okay? And you want to look for, because a lot of lenders are looking for what they call state regulatory fitness. Like, does it make sense for them to actually lend in your state? It's an important question that a lot of lenders pay attention to. So they want you, like a lot of lenders want minimum 2 criteria. They want the business, they want the LLC to have been under current ownership for a fixed amount of time, typically 2 or more years. And they want your LLC, your LLC must have a minimum annual or monthly business revenue, typically at least $50,000 per year. Okay, so those are the primary criteria. But when it comes to lenders, you have access to several lenders. You can get a regular lender, such as a bank or credit union, or you can go for an online lender, okay, such as Bluevine, for example. The third thing I want you to do, boss, is you want to gather the required information. And this is actually something that back and forth you got to talk to the lender. You have to talk to the lender's team, especially if you're going with a regular bank or a regional bank for that matter. You want to go to a branch. You want to sit down. You want to actually you want to familiarize them. You want to share a lot with them about your LLC, right? And because they'll ask you questions, and sometimes they want to see articles of organization. They want to see a certificate of good standing. So it's really important to understand that you need to get the answers directly from the lender, okay, the lender itself. So if you're looking for an LLC business line of credit, EIN only, no income proof, big amount. By the way, you can actually get it. Don't think that because you don't have a income, you don't have income proof, you cannot get an LLC business line of credit. No, there are stuff you can do. So for example, you need to have profit and loss statements, okay, and profit and loss statements. Really, you need to have actual data. You need to have projected data. The question is, when you said no income proof, you need to ask a very important questions. Is it because, how come you cannot prove your income? Is it because you have a lot of cash transactions, or your business is new, or you don't have proper accounting processes? Those are important elements. I mean, see, the whole thing is not about you saying I can't prove my income. Okay, you can't prove your income. What have you done to sort of fix the issue? Because not being able to prove income, business revenue, is not something normal. Okay, if you have a normal business, if you're running a normal LLC, or LP or S corporation or C corporation or whatever business in general that you're running, you should be able to actually identify elements that constitute your financial accounting processes, like your income, your balance sheet, your cash flow statement, and whatnot. Okay, so when we talk about gathering the required information, we're talking about things like business licenses and permits, articles of organization, personal and business bank statements, business plan. That's important. So your LLC must have a business plan, and the lender might also want to have a personal and LLC business tax return. So maybe your 1065 or 1065, and especially the schedules K1. The next thing I want you to really do here is to select a lender. By the way, here is today's topic. I just want to remind you once again, because we love to contextualize the conversation we're having here. So I'm talking to you about LLC, business line of credit, EIN only, no income proof, big amounts. Okay. So when I talk about selecting a lender, I said before, I just briefly talked about that. Selecting a lender, when you're looking for, so you have several levels of lenders. So you have big national banks, so the Chase of the world, the Bank of America of the world, the Wells Fargo, the Citi. Then you have what we call our tier 2. So tier 1 will be the biggies. Tier 2, you'll have the regional players. Okay, in that category, in that basket, we put players such as US Bank, PNC, Truist. We have BMO Harris to a certain extent. We have TD Bank to a certain extent. We have also a Capital One Bank, and I think I'm forgetting another one. US Bank, PNC, KeyBank. Yeah, so you have KeyBank. So you have those mid-tier players, and you also have third category, the tier 3 players. Those are national banks, right? I mean, not national banks, local banks, local or state banks. So you got to ask yourself, what is the best for me in terms of maximum credit limits? Like if I'm looking for an LLC, business line of credit, EIN only, no income proof, what is the best company for me in terms of the best lender in terms of maximum credit limits, repayment plans, requirements, very important, associated fees. I spoke to you about the fees like interest rates, draw fees, payment processing fee, late fee, termination fee, prepayment penalty, and what are the special features I'm after. Okay, so those are important. So those are really important. For example, there are some lenders who will actually once you have an LLC, business line of credit with them, they'll give you access to other perks such as credit monitoring services. Okay, so those are the traditional lenders. You also have the same thing for credit unions. You have national credit unions, you have tier 1 credit unions, you have a tier 2 credit unions, you have tier 3 credit unions. The tier 1 will be the Navy Federal, the CCU, the Connexus of the world. Tier 2, you'll have BECU. Okay, you'll have Bluefed. You'll have other players. You have Connecta. And tier 3 depends on your state. Okay, and so but you also have online lenders for your LLC, business line of credit. Online lenders can also help you out, such as Bluevine, for example. The next thing I want you to do here, step number 5, I want you to apply, like for real, for the business line of credit. So the way you apply for a business line of credit will depend on the kind of strategy you have and the type of lender you have. Okay, if you have a traditional lender, such as a credit union or a big bank, especially the national players, you want to go to a branch. You want to actually visit a physical branch. You want to sit down and you want to talk to someone there, and that person will walk you through the whole process. Okay, now one thing I also need to say here is that if you have let's say, the same advice applies if you are talking to a regional lender. So the point I'm trying to make here is that anytime you have a lender who has physical branches, you always want to meet someone. You always want to talk to someone before you apply. That's for regular lenders. Then you have alternative lenders and you have online lenders. Those generally don't maintain a network of brick and mortar branches. So you have to contact them. You have to work out everything online. But again, the advice I'm giving you applies. In other words, you have to speak to someone first. Let me give you an example. You have a lender such as Bluevine. You have On Deck. You have Cabbage, now called American Express Business Line of Credit. You have Fundbox. So you have a lot of players, right? You have a lot of players, but you have to make sure that those players are like, you are basically providing the data, the paperwork they need, which you can only do if you talk to them beforehand. That's why you have to talk to them. And when we talk about when I say you have to talk to them, you have to also ask them about the fees. Those fees that I just spoke to you about, the 5 fees that are really important. You want to make sure that nobody's trying to play games with you by charging you extra. Okay, because the thing is, everybody knows, like when it's time for you to apply for your LLC, business line of credit, EIN only, you probably just are so interested in the amount, you forget about the ancillary elements. You forget about the secondary elements. Okay, those secondary elements are things that I just said to you. The fees, those fees are important. Okay, the payment processing fee, the draw fee, the wire transfer fee, the late fee, the prepayment penalty. Those really can eat up your cash, your line of credit. So pay attention to those. In the bonus category, I want to go back to something that I really spoke about really briefly, and I want to talk to you about the fact that we have secured versus unsecured business line of credit for your LLC. The reason why I sort of want to really talk about it again is because when you're looking for an LLC, business line of credit, EIN only, you're trying to avoid a personal guarantee, which you should anyway. You should, because the last thing you want is to actually risk your personal affairs, your personal assets, right? You don't want to do this. You definitely don't want to do this, because things can happen. The economy can go down. Your company can go bankrupt. A lot of things can happen, and you never want to risk your personal affairs. Okay, so this is why you want to go for an EIN only. So the way you apply for this thing is that you have to talk to the lender, and you have to present 3 things. If you want to apply successfully for EIN only, you gotta provide 3 things: a business plan, financial projections, or financial statement. So it could be actual data or projected data. And the third thing you want to provide here is you want to actually show the lender a set of paperwork, like a set of documents that actually confirm that you are indeed a separate entity. So things like your articles of organization, things like your certificate of good standing, your all the legal contracts, all the contracts you have signed in terms of leasing, for example, anything that is legally binding for your business. You want to show that. The reason why you want to show this is because you want to tell the lender that your LLC is indeed a separate entity. A lot of folks believe, not a lot, but some folks believe that when we talk about EIN only application, it just means that you have a box on a regular application form, and you just have to replace your social security number with the EIN. This is not how things work. No, there is no form. There are forms for EIN only LLC business loan or business line of credit application, but those are for big LLCs. If you are a regular LLC, if you are average size or small sized LLC, and you want to have an EIN only business line of credit, you need to do what I'm just telling you. You have to go to a branch, and you have to have all the paperwork needed. Okay. So before I actually close to this conversation, it's really important to understand that if you are looking for a business line of credit, EIN only, the bottom line here is that you have to plan. You have to know how much you want. You have to know the lenders who are suitable for your business. You need to go after those lenders, okay? Try to have 3 or 4 lenders, and then you want to zero in on the ones that are the one that is more suitable for you, the one that's more amenable, that has more satisfactory criteria for you, okay? So here is a recap. So I spoke to you today, like the 5 steps that I'm just talking to you about. You need to decide between a secured and unsecured LLC business line of credit. You need to research the lender's requirement for getting for getting this sort of business line of credit, you want to gather the required information, select the lender, and apply for the ALC business line of credit. Thank you. God bless you. I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.